All right. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. Had to, blow the dust off the mic, but let's go ahead and get it started, man. We're here. All of us are excited about the results. It's a Tuesday night in America. And we want to see what the results are. What were the results of the election? Not political talk. We'll talk politics on a different stream at a different time. I'll link to that soon. But about sports and college football. The second biggest sport in America. Just came out with their second poll. Big week in college football. Georgia number one after their impressive win over Tennessee. Ohio State two, Michigan three, TCU four. Tennessee slides to five from number one after their loss. I thought there was a possibility that they could stay at four, but slides to five. Oregon is the big mover and shaker, up to six. LSU seven, USC eight, Alabama drops to 7-2 to nine, and Clemson, probably the most argued about team that was in the playoffs last week, is at number 10. So I think Georgia's a lock when we talk about college football playoffs. I mean, you just put them aside. I don't think they have any real competitive games left in their schedule, even if they lose the SEC championship game. Beating Tennessee like that, being the defending national champions, there's no way the committee is going to have the gumption and the unmitigated gall, as my man Stephen A. Smith would say, to take them out of the number one slot or to take them out of the playoffs at all. Maybe they drop to four, and I don't even think they do that. Maybe they drop to three. The Ohio State Michigan one is interesting because Ohio State, they had their preseason test when they played Notre Dame, who was a ranked team at the time. They're in the playoffs. They're number 20. So that's an out of conference ranked schedule win. Let's see. Is anyone they beat Penn State? They're probably, I think that's about it. So, and then if they beat Michigan, obviously they're a lock to be a two seed. But I think even if they lose to Michigan, and if that's their only loss because Michigan has been so overpowering, I think they stay in. So you're really just talking about maybe two slots, depending if Michigan loses to Ohio State. Um, I don't think TCU makes it. I think they actually lose this week to Texas. So I'm not really worried about them. The interest in this poll is right here: Tennessee, Oregon, LSU, USC. That's the meat and potatoes of this poll, and maybe an Ole Miss. These two teams right here, they need a lot of chaos. But let's start with Oregon. I mean, Oregon has the worst loss of any team in the top 10, getting blown out. First game of the season, I don't think they scored. So versus Georgia, and Bo Nix, their quarterback, who I thought was just absolutely terrible going into the season, he said, "Hey, if we play these guys again, they're not going to beat us like that." So that might be true, but they play the games. You play to win the game. Hello. And I'm gonna talk about that in a little bit, but we played to win the game, and you guys lost, and you lost pretty bad. LSU, if LSU wins out, they have a game against Arkansas where they're only 3-point favorites. After that, they have a cupcake game. And then the next game would be the SEC championship game. So if they beat Georgia in that game, they get in, right? If you beat Georgia in Atlanta, right? Not technically not a home game, but a home game for Georgia. Beat Georgia in Atlanta SEC championship game after beating Alabama, you're making it to the playoffs. You're a lock, right? So they control their own destiny. Oregon and USC, they need to beat people, and then they need a little bit of chaos. Because again, I said Tennessee, they don't really play anybody. So they're 8-1. They have that impressive win versus Alabama in their cap. They blew out LSU at LSU. So they have some strong wins on things. So for Oregon or USC to leapfrog a Tennessee, they would have to be impressive. And Oregon has been impressive. They've been dominant, but they've been dominant against Pac-12 teams. You know, none of these teams were scheduled to beat them anyway. So that USC Oregon game, if both teams can come into undefeated, and that's a big if. Oregon has to beat Utah, which is the number 13 team. USC has to beat UCLA, which is the number 12 team. So it's going to be interesting to see. It's unfortunate that they could not resolve this playoff situation to at least expand it to 6 teams. Maybe giving the top 2 seeds a bye. But the fact that they couldn't even expand to this 6 teams this year, I mean, this is a great year where there's a lot of parity in college football for obvious reasons, and some not so obvious. But there's going to be really deserving teams. In years past, you looked at it and like, man, we're arguing for a team to get in that's just going to get their doors blown off as soon as they get in, right? I don't think you're doing that this year. I seriously think of these teams here. I mean, you'd have to like Georgia as the favorite, just because of the pedigree. But I think of these teams here, you got 1, 2, 3. I think Michigan win it, Tennessee could win it all. I don't know. Oregon, I've seen a lot of Bo Nix. This is the best I've ever seen him play. Is this who he is? Is he on a hot streak? He's gonna come back to earth. I've seen a lot of Bo Nix, so it's just hard for me to buy that this guy is the guy. You have LSU that I think could win it all. USC, I don't know if they have the defense to win it all. They definitely have the offense. I don't think Alabama has it this year. Yeah, so a lot of people are saying, hey, with Alabama, they're associating different things on it, and that might just be a whole different video I might need to do. But I think Alabama's their run of dominance is over. You just look, they just do not have the talent. And with NIL, the days of them having so much talent that their backups could beat the other team, those days are over. There's days where Jalen Hurts gets benched and you bring in Tua. Those days are over. So, it'll be interesting to see how this plays off if Saban stays for a long time, if he weathers this storm. But right now, if I had to pick a favorite just to wrap this up, I like LSU. I think they have the weapons. They have the quarterback who has the pedigree as an elite prospect coming into college. He always seemed like he was off. He was a beat late, and I think he's getting better with Brian Kelly. I would advise him to return to college, regardless of what happens to this season. But I would say LSU. They have those 3 receivers led by Boutte and Neighbors. They have the tight end, Jason Taylor's kid, who scored the game-winning touchdown in the game. Did he score the touchdown and the 2 converted? I think he scored both. No, he scored. Yeah, he scored the touchdown. No, I'm tripped out. I know he scored the game-winning touchdown, 2-point conversion, but I think he scored a touchdown as well. But yeah, he scored a touchdown in the 4th quarter on the fade ball. So that's Jason Taylor's son. That's how old I'm getting, where I played Madden with these guys and their sons are now balling. So shout out to him and his family. But yeah, to wrap it with a bow, I think LSU has the best chance. I think they could score some points on Georgia. I think Tennessee, the quarterback Herndon Hooker, he's 24 years old. And that was one of my strong plays of the week, was Tennessee getting all those points, because I didn't think he would be rattled by the environment. He looked rattled. He was missing reads. He missed throws. He took sacks he didn't need to. He didn't scramble when he could have. He just wasn't in it. And I was surprised because he was so locked in versus Alabama that he would look that way versus Georgia. But on the road, not being the hunter, being the hunted, because they went in that game ranked number 1 as the number 1 team, not being the hunter, but the hunted. That kind of changed people's perspective. So I think that's what probably happened there. But yeah, we'll see. It's going to be a great finish towards the end of the season. And I mean, I think college football is getting paid, as far as the gameplay is maybe better than what the NFL is producing right now. And part of the reason that is because the Indianapolis Colts had the bright idea to hire someone who's never coached before. Excuse me, that is wrong. He coached his high school Son's high school football team. He had a 3-7 record. I'm not kidding. He had a losing record as a high school football coach, but they decided to bring in a analyst to be the head coach of the Colts. Now, let me tell you something. I'm gonna start with this. I'm gonna start with some humility, some hubris, and then some humility. When it comes to basketball and football, I truly believe this. I'm one of the best minds in America. I should be on a TV show. I'm gonna be working diligently to get my voice out. My eye is unmatched. I see it. It's there. I saw it. I see it. I see it. It's there. I see it. My analysis is unmatched. I think you put me on any show, First Take, Stephen A, Shannon Sharp, Nick Wright, I'm laying them all there. It's get down and lay down season when it comes to my analysis. That being said, I don't think I could be a head coach. That was the hubris before. Now here's the humility. I know I cannot be a NFL head coach. I have coached Madden football teams when I used to be a Madden player. I had my own offensive playbook and defensive playbook and play calls and game scripts, but I don't think that would allow me to be a head coach. I say that to say this. I was talking to a young woman the other day, and she was talking about, we were having some career talks, and she was telling me, look, and check this out. I don't know if I should apply for this job. And I started thinking in my mind, I was like, if you want the job, you would apply. I think part of, social situations and lack of leadership, especially on the women's side, is I think that women measure themselves more when they take steps. They don't directly see, like, if a big opportunity comes, they'll think about whether they should apply. If a guy wants it, he generally will just apply, and 90% of the game is showing up. Shout out to my guy, Obi. That is one of his superpowers. He's every day consistent, and I need to take a page out of his book with this podcast, but every day consistent, shows up every day with whatever he does, consistent, shows up. And you have showing up as part of the game. So I say that in this Jeff Saturday conversation because it takes the hubris of a man to say, hey, I've never coached before, but I'm going to go in here and coach. And mind you, they have NFL coaches. They have a head coach on that staff, Gus Bradley. That's usually what happens, right? For him to go into that building, knowing none of the coaches, having no relationship, serious relationship with the players, you can say, oh, well, he's a former player. He talked to them. There's difference between being in training camp with someone, practices, OTAs, being in the film room with them. It's insane that it's not insane that Irsay offered it. Irsay is a different type of cat, man. You saw that when he called out Snyder. It's not surprising Irsay did it. He's a different type of cat. And he started taking shots at analytical coaches, so they're scared and they blame everything on analytics. And maybe, I don't know, maybe that's what happened with Frank Wright. But I generally believe that this is probably one of the more insane moves. I think it's a slap in the face to Gus Bradley. And a lot of people have equated this to the Brian Flores lawsuit. Like, hey, look. And I do think that this, obviously makes the NFL's case worse on that. I think Rooney Rule still should apply in interim basis if you're going to bring in an outside candidate. He'll probably make something up that he did something, or he'll just pay the fine. But I think more than just a racial thing, it's just unfair to a lot of veteran assistants, Wink Martindale, guys that have just totaled in this league. Raheem Morris, Brian Leftwich, these guys just, they just get, and again, it's not a racial thing because, Wink Martindale's on that as well. Rob Ryan, guys that have been multiple years as coordinators can never be a head coach. And some guy who's never coached in the NFL before gets this shot. And it would not shock me. It would not shock me if he becomes the head coach. And this is the thing. The NFL, and I think this is one of the reasons why the game, because a lot of people have been complaining about the games. They say the game's been bad this year, right? And I think part of the reason why the game has been so bad because the NFL has really devolved into a friendship league. Who's friends with who? Those are the people that gets the jobs. Let me give you an example. Ron Rivera in Washington, right? In the Carolina Commanders, which I call them, because he has half of his squad is people who play with him in Carolina or coach with him in Carolina. He doesn't freshen things up. Like you don't see Andy Reid in year 4 still going to the well with Eagle guys, right? But Ron Rivera, he hires his friend Jack Del Rio, and then he hires Nerve Turner's son, Scott Turner. Well, either of these two people, would they be coordinators in the league if they weren't Ron Rivera's friends? Will they be coordinators in the league if they weren't Ron Rivera's friends? You have the Arizona Cardinals, their GM, draft Josh Rosen, and then release him and trade him. A top 10 pick, or just trade him. Go back into the well to get Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray gets embarrassed in the playoffs. They give him $250 million guaranteed. The owner says he's upset at the end of the season. They guarantee $250 million for Kyler. They give Keim an extension, and they give Cliff Kingsbury, a coach who had no NFL experience previously, who was fired from Texas Tech, then hired by USC, then hired by the Cardinals. Like, make that make sense. That's like getting fired from AT&T as a clerk and then getting hired at Verizon as the CEO. Why? Because they're all friends. It's buddy. It's buddy in this league. How many people are truly worried about winning? How many people really care about winning? It's buddy. They want to win, but they want to win with their friends. If they can't win with their friends, oh well, we're all getting paid anyway. Right? So the Colts, if you're a betting man, you've got to bet against the Colts. Because I'm sure if I was a player in the locker room, I'd be like, what in the flying F are you talking about? And I said flying F instead of the curse words because YouTube is on the curse words now. They don't play that game anymore. So what in the flying F are we doing hiring some guy who hasn't even been in the building? I'm sure the players love Frank Reich too, right? So we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. But that was an interesting hire to say the least. And I just to wrap up on it. I'll leave it like this: innovative and intuitive are not always tied with being new. Just because you do something out of the box doesn't mean it's innovative, right? It has to be successful. So maybe he's thinking, hey, I'm being an innovator. All these coaches with coaching experience, half of them flame out anyway. Let me go get a guy who I know, I trust his football knowledge. So the best job in sports is to have the owner's ear, bro. You got the owner's ear, man. It's heavenly, bro. It's heavenly. You can be an analyst at ESPN. And ask yourself this from people that watch ESPN. Have you ever watched ESPN and thought, man, Jeff Saturday, man, he brought it. I learned something today. It's not possible. So it's not like you elevating, Greg Cosell to the head coaching position. It's insane. So we'll go ahead and leave that there. And then in regards to the sale of the aforementioned Commanders, so looks like Daniel Snyder was forced to sell. It looked like it was going down that path after that story was leaked and a couple of owners were grousing. It was going to be a nasty fight, and I'm not sure exactly what they said to him to make him to sell, because the money, people said, hey, he's getting blown away by the money that he's being offered, and I don't see that as why you would do something like that, because he knew that he was going to get paid big money before that day. So it's not like all of a sudden somebody hit him with an offer that he couldn't refuse. He knew he was getting cashed out. So I think they really need to. I would love to see some investigating reporting on what exactly happened there. But the name that's being floated around is Jeff Bezos, and Jeff Bezos was out to dinner with Jay-Z, someone who's talked about NFL ownership, and there's an idea that they would run. Obviously Jeff Bezos would be the owner, and Jay-Z would be a minority owner. No pun intended. Uh, so here's the thing. I think because you have to be improved by the vote of 24 owners. And it's interesting because one, NFL's doing deals with Amazon right now. Right. So isn't that kind of like like incestuous? Like you would have an owner who you're doing deals with who's running the TV package as well. Right. And then I think the owners might be a little scared of the power that he could wield. Jeff Bezos has enough money to buy all the 31 teams, 32 teams combined 4 times. Jeff Bezos has his wealth, he's richer than all the other owners combined. Like, if you don't think that the owners are not thinking about this, like, hey, this guy, he can just spend us into the ground. Right. So I think there might be some apprehension there. Like, and then you're gonna sign Jay-Z. It's like, oh, y'all just like a super team. Like, I don't want that. I don't want that in the Washington, because Washington's a gold mine. Like, this is one of the richest history franchises in sports before. When they were winning Super Bowls, that town is itching for that team to be good again. So it'll be interesting to see if he ends up buying it. I think that the partnership between him and Jay-Z would be great, but we'll see what ends up happening there. I don't think it's a slam dunk, because you're going to have a situation where I do think the owner is going to put in some consideration. One, we do business with this guy. Two, he has so much money, and with Jay-Z, so much influence and gravitas that these guys might blow us out the water, you know? But at the end of the day, Jeff Bezos could change the rules on what an NFL franchise costs. He could say, here's 8 million, 8 billion, kick rocks. Here's 8 billion, kick rocks. He can do that. Now, he retired as CEO of Amazon, so maybe he can say technically, hey, I'm divorced from day-to-day decision making. I think he's still the chairman of the board, so I don't think you can really say that either, but I don't know. I'm gonna get into the games later. NBA took a off day because of the election. Obviously, the polls have closed out here in America. I have this channel called I'm Here to Amuse You, which I'm going to be putting just videos and content that's not sports related on that. So, like, I'll talk a little politics, I'll talk a little pop culture, talk about anything over there. Before I get out of here, the NBA did not play today. But I saw a report that Kyrie and Adam Silver had a really good meeting and there's good understanding. This is also backed by a report that Jaylen Brown said a lot of the players and the players union were kind of a set on how stringent the terms of re-engagement the Nets gave him. So I'm guessing what's probably going to happen with that situation. And the situation now, the zeitgeist now, I missed the whole conversation, so I'm not going to be the thousands and one voice on the situation. But I think what's probably going to happen is those situations, those stipulations, are probably going to go away. Um, Adam Silver's talked to him, and I think part of the reason, and I won't way too deep on this, but part of the reason why Adam Silver really didn't get in there was like, man, like everybody has that stupid friend, that stupid brother that just says dumb shit, and it's just like after a while you don't take what they're saying seriously because they're always saying crazy shit, and that's how most people view Kyrie. Like I don't think anyone, even his biggest detractor, could say truthfully, "Hey, I think Kyrie hates Jews and is a Nazi." Right? So like I think that's part of the reason why Adam Silver was so slow to come out on it. And there's probably some reasons why he was so slow to give the apology. I think mainly it's just pride. You know, you don't want to be told what to do. You know, we do have a mob mentality where, you know, the mob kind of tells you what to do sometimes. And a lot of people, I think more than anything, are just bucking against, hey, don't tell me what to do. I mean, I think that's just the basic, um, you know, that's one of the basic downfalls of a man. It's like, don't tell me what to do. I'll figure it out. You know, I'll take the stairs rather than taking the elevator if you tell me to take the elevator. That's probably apropos example that I just used because I mean he took the stairs to apologizing and putting this shit to bed when he could have just took the elevator. But oh well. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and leave it like that. Consistency, 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 consistency. Shout out to my man, Michael Walker Jr., my man Marty Marr, my man Toloke, YK, our dog telling me to get back in the box. Shout out to my cousin Obi. So we getting back in the box. We can talk about this sports. You know, because like I said, I'm the foremost mind in America. Where would you be without me? So more consistent and more side videos and actually doing this shit this time. You know, again, consistency is key. And I got to be more consistent and I will be. All right, leave it there. Game is again. All right. Thank you for watching this clip. Do me a favor. Push the button. Hit subscribe. Come on, man. Push it.
Push the goddamn button. Push the goddamn button. You heard what she said.
And do what's right. You heard her. Push the button. The game is a game.
So what's up, man? What's up with you otherwise, you know? The game is a game. Always.